I work as a photographer. I love my work. Yay! That's really beautiful to hear. For me, it's the most beautiful work ever, but after many years of working, I'm facing very hard times with money. I'm trying to resist the temptation to change work. What do you suggest? To keep trying despite the hard times? I mean, my suggestion would be to look at the way that you view money. Like the key, it seems, to money and to success is when it's effortless. So being effortless about it. So I would suggest to look at resistance that you have with money, or if you do have any resistance, or your attitude towards it. And an attitude towards receiving money for it. So that would be my suggestion, and see if you have any thoughts like I'm not worthy of the money, or I don't deserve it, or I shouldn't get it. Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine with photography, you're constantly having to change the way you do things because of all the technology. Hi, Lee. Thank you. I understand what you say about disappearing in the job thing, but then it's not really necessary to be passionate about it. It also can be a rather boring administrative job. I think passion comes when you disappear into something. And so what happened as a young child is there were things that you enjoyed. So say with me, I love playing. So making up games, playing, making up stories was what I loved as a child. Then when I became a seeker, I believed that there was freedom in that. So then I used to seek to do it. I used to seek to be successful at storytelling, or be successful at playwriting, at teaching it. And that seeking in a way killed it, because I was trying to be successful at it. And I wanted to be a writer because when I was very young, I just loved it. And I just was it. I was just doing it with all my heart and my passion. And then I wanted to make it into something for me, to give to me. And then I began to kill it. So, but when I used to go, even when I was a seeker, and I used to listen to stories, and when I used to do well, I would begin to disappear again. And then I really believed it was the storytelling that made me disappear. But it was actually because I was passionate about it that I was disappearing. Because when I did storytelling, I didn't want to be anywhere else. I just was happy to be there. But then I made it into this thing that I was trying to achieve, rather than just the joy of it. And when I let go of all of that and just began to enjoy it for the joy of doing it, then I actually became successful at it. So it's kind of the same thing. Like we've got this natural flow in us that wants to flow. And it's pretty obvious to me that this flow wants to be a storyteller, or is a storyteller. So this flow goes towards doing this. It's fascinated by stories, by reading stories, learning stories. It's fascinated by the mind, the story of the self, the illusion of self. It's fascinated by all of it. And it's fascinated by teaching that to people through writing books or through doing these live talks. Because these live talks are told in stories, you might think that I'm giving some intellectual discourse or energetic exchange, which I am, but it's also being done through storytelling, through communicating, which is storytelling. Communicating is storytelling. And I forgot how I begun this. I'm just going to go on and hopefully it will make sense at one point, but I've completely forgotten what I started this bit of the talk as. And yeah, so I love doing that. So we've all got these natural flows, these natural way of being. And as we begin to get identified, we sort of muddle it up. We muddle everything up in our head. So when we do something we love again, we disappear. So when we do storytelling, which is our natural flow, say, or playing the guitar, when we do playing the guitar, which is our more natural flow, or playing or creating music, we then disappear when doing it because we're totally enjoying what we do. But then we want to become a musician and be a musician, own lots of money, be super successful. And then you forget about the original joy of doing it, and it becomes a seeking energy, which is uncomfortable. Sort of being in the moment, in a way, is being passionate. It is doing your passion. It's following your natural flow. And that passion can be looking after kids, cleaning, doing a boring administrative job. Not that it's boring, but it's fascinating to some people. It's whatever your flow is. Your flow is this natural, gentle movement towards well-being. Towards creating and expressing its heart. So it's kind of like in order to disappear, that you have to completely collapse into the natural flow of the human. It's like it just takes over, the autopilot takes over, the human does its dance as its beautiful, unique color. So they're kind of one and the same thing. As you begin to just act out your passion, act out your natural flow, you disappear because you're totally content in what you're doing. You're 100% in what you're doing. So even though in waking up has got nothing to do with the person, it's something beyond the person, it manifests in the person of the person being fully itself, totally expressing itself as itself, which is nothing. It's just expressing with no boundaries. It's nothing, and then it gets to be whatever it wants to be in that moment. I don't know if that makes sense. It's hard to explain.